Okay, I want to start this video out by saying I'm sorry I haven't released a video in quite a while. I've had a lot going on around here and hadn't had a chance to get in the shop and do any work over here as far as electronics go. And we'll try to see if we can, you know, get out here and do some more videos, but you know, again, supply is low on stuff to do stuff with around here. Most of the stuff I've got in here I've already done. I've already worked on videos, and some of the other stuff would be kind of unrelated, like this is going to be unrelated to older tube radios. So anyway, I know I've had a few questions in the past about, you know, am I a ham? And yes, I am. I'm actually an extra class ham radio operator. I've only been one for about 2 years, but anyway, so this video is going to be centered behind that aspect of hobbies that I have. So anyway, we'll move into this, and then of course this kit has a story, and I'll try and elaborate on why and all that sort of thing, because you know, like I said, it has a story behind it. But this is called a handy finder, and what this is a radio direction finding tool to locate radio signals. Those of you who are hams and are familiar with the ham radio community will know this from what they call fox hunting. They'll set up a radio transmitter in a undisclosed location, and you have to find it. And basically it is a sort of a fun event to get you trained for real stuff, and real stuff is what I'm going to talk about later in regards to this kit here. But I was given this kit by an organization that owns several repeaters across the state that was having trouble with a person who was doing or creating malicious interference, and which is against FCC rules, obviously, and this problem had been on the system for about 3 months, and me and a group of a couple of other hams, well, at least 10 or 15 other hams, had formed a group to find the guy, to find the person committing the malicious interference. So anyway, I was given this kit by that group after I found the person that was responsible for the malicious interference. So anyway, I want to put this together, and I don't know, I'll finish the story later on, but let's open this up and see what we got in here. Alright, so we have our instructions here, and you can get this kit online. Well, actually, you can get the information to get it online, but I think you actually have to mail in the forms to get it. It's several pages, it looks like. To it, this is basically a pretty simple device. It is a antenna with a switching circuit in it that switches back and forth between two loop antennas, if you will, or two antennas back and forth 1,000 times a minute, and or 1,000 times a second, excuse me, and it switches back and forth and puts a tone on the signal. And the best thing about this device is it does not work off of signal strength. It works off of signal direction more than anything. So you have this IC chip in here, which I've seen some designs of this that can be made with a 555 timer. Anyway, so basically it's got a switching circuit in it that switches back and forth. As this is shown, you just want a loop that's kind of like an old UHF bow tie. And the one that I used to find the person was basically the same thing as this. It was a finished one, obviously, but it wasn't this exact model. It was one that was very similar to this one that was made back in the early 90s. So anyway, it switches the signal back and forth between these two antennas at about 1,000 times per second. So anyway, the idea is, when you use this, is to hook this into a handheld, and on whatever frequency of the signal you're trying to track, it's going to put 1,000 hertz tone signal on top of this. You'll hear a tone on top of the signal, and you turn it, and whenever you get a null on the tone, the antenna is going to be broadside to the signal. So the signal is going to be coming in from this direction, either this side or the opposite side of the antenna. So you have to eliminate at least one of the directions from it, but other than that, it's very accurate. So, and here's a close-up of the finished product here, in case somebody sees this video and is putting one together. And here is a drawing of it. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, there's something on here for a coax to go into the handheld, and again, I'm just unwrapping all this, so I have no idea exactly what they're doing here. It looks like this one directly, I guess from this picture, there's a direct sort of connection here. I'm not real sure, but the one that I used had a small coax lead that went into the radio, which is what I would prefer. And there's the schematic there. Pretty simple circuit. I think you can download this stuff off the internet, off their site. So anyway, I'm going to kind of go through all this and see what I got here, and I'll turn you back on. Alright, so I've gone through this documentation, and as you can see, I went ahead and put the antenna wires on here, and this is one thing that you have to supply that's not in the kit. So I took a bow tie, rabbit ear bow tie, and made my own antennas. This one, unlike the one I used to track the person down, the spacing here is a lot further apart. I think it was these holes here and these holes here that were, was about how the other one was spaced. I'll put a picture right here. To indicate, but anyway, so that's what the old one looked like, the one that I used, and so this is, I was kind of trying to get the same thing from this one here, but the spacing on the board is a little bit different, but it should work good nonetheless. And these, I measured these wires, and they're approximately a quarter wavelength for the 2 meter band anyway, so it should work out pretty good. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and install our IC chip. Alright, so our IC chip is installed. And so I'm just going to work off of our schematic here, which is actually here. And I'm going to go ahead and go off of pin 14 and start with this capacitor here, and I'm just going to work my way around and put some components in there. Alright, I got all of our capacitors installed here on the board, and I noticed a mistake right away. I don't know if you guys already noticed it or not, but we have two different places labeled C2. We got this one here and this one here. Well, how do we know which one's C2? By looking on our sheet here. C2 is here, and this is supposed to be C8. So this should be labeled C8, not C2. So anyway, but it's pretty easy. All these caps are the same. All these are 0.001 microfarad caps. And then you have C1 here, which is a 0.022, and that sets the frequency of the tone, which can be found here. You can change that capacitor, or excuse me, a 0.02, not 022, but anyway. If you want a 400 hertz tone, you'd have to go with a 0.056. And if you wanted a 1200 hertz tone, you could go with a 0.01, and that would give you 1200 hertz tone. But by default, 1000 hertz is what this one comes with, and that's just fine. That's what I used on the older version that I had of this, and the older version that I have is the same chip, the 4047. So anyway. So now we're going to go and install our resistors. I'll give you a quick glance here, and then over on the back. Alright, so I'm going to go install our resistors next. Alright, so I want to note something that's kind of wacky on this board here. R1, which is, you know, you see the box cut out for it. You would think it would go right in there like the rest of these, like that one and that one, but the circuit board is cut out strange. You see all these holes, and there's actually some under that resistor too, and it's hard to tell which ones go where. So I had to again go back to my schematic here, and you need to pay attention to this real closely if you have the same circuit board design that I have, which is A15121, which is supposed to be after the A is supposed to be the year 15, the month, and then the day. So it would have been the 21st day of November of 2015. So anyway, if you have the circuit board, you will want to pay very close attention to this circuit here and make sure that your capacitor and your resistor are both going to the chip this way. And the only way I could find that, or the only way I could figure that, would be to solder it in this way. You can see the leads here. But I had to solder it in like that to get it to go between the capacitor, you know, between pin 1 and the resistor, and then back to pin 3. So that's a little screwy, but that's how you're going to have to do it, at least on this circuit board design here. While we're on the subject of screwy circuit board designs, this C2 here, I can't which is supposed to be C8. In the schematic, I can't find it at all. I don't see a place at all for C8 anywhere in here. But on this, you know, it shows the printing of the board, and it shows this is C8, but you know, the only thing it would connect would be pin 7 and 5 together. Alright, so a good wooden handle from like an old broom or mop or something like that, and we have our little handle that this is going to go on, and I just want to mark these holes here so I know where to drill for screws or whatever. So I think you can pretty much use any of these guys. It should work. Alright, got it attached here, and I just decided to go with regular wood screws, and got our coax attached, little heat shrink there so the ground and the positive stay separate and the ground doesn't short out to the board on the chip there. And a little tie off here for the coax. A little small piece of coax. I have to put an end on it. I'm not sure what to go with. I think B and C is popular for older handhelds, and a lot of newer handhelds carry SMA. So we'll have to I'll have to make a decision on that and put it on. And I don't know. I may go with just a B and C, but I'll have to see what I've got. Alright, got it all back together and got it hooked up to the HT here, and so let's give this a try. Got it on direction finding. You can hear the tone on top of the signal there. You can hear a null on the tone.
Anyway, fellas, I'm gonna get out of here. I want to go get a shower and get to bed again about that time. Y'all carry it on at midnight. That'd be great. Maybe before I be 8 lessons. Over to you, Frank.
So the repeater is either straight forward or straight back when it's broadside to the antenna. The tone tells you you're off the signal. Okay, sorry that was such a kind of a somewhat of a brief demonstration there, but the repeater was linked up from the other side of the state, and there was people talking on it, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to kind of show you real quick. And anyway, the link drops out at a certain time at night, and it went ahead and dropped out pretty much right in the middle of it. So anyway, you get the idea. It throws a 1000 hertz tone on top of the signal, and you basically just aim it, and when you're broadside to the signal, you know, it's gonna, I mean, when the antenna is broadside of the signal, it's gonna be whatever direction it's broadside here. And pretty simple device. Handyfinder.com if you want to get one of these guys. But anyway, to finish the story on this, we had a unlicensed, and we didn't know this until the latter part of after we found him, an unlicensed person interfering with the repeaters, vile and vulgar language, disrupting nets, you name it. It was going on for almost 3 months, and again, we assembled a team of amateurs, including myself, on the team, and to track this guy down. And at first I was able to locate him on a vertical beam, and get a signal on reverse into the repeater. And so then after that, we kind of drew out coordination maps and stuff like that to kind of give us an area of where he may be. And then we got a second report from another operator in another area, so we used that to sort of triangulate. Is why I say we didn't have 3 reports, so it's not really much of a triangle, but anyway, got enough information, and we started searching that area and found some signals and stuff. And the guy that found the signal in that area told me where it was at, and he wasn't able to continue pursuing it that day, so I went down the next day and finished pursuing it with his signal device, which was one of these. And it's this one's real good because no matter how close you get, it doesn't rely on signal strength to find the target. If you get too close, the radio will just be overwhelmed, and sometimes it's hard to find stuff when you're right up on top of it, because you got to overload a signal. So these are good for tracking stuff when you're real close up. But anyway, spent a couple hours down there and found the house where the guy was at, and then the state authorities took it from there. So they've got him off the air, and they confiscated his radio. So again, and then they're gonna, I can't really comment too much. It's an open investigation, but that's the story behind that, and they're sending all of it to the FCC for a follow-up. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. This is the Handi Finder, and it's a neat little device to fox hunt with, or to find people that are not supposed to be on the air with. Anyway, thanks for watching.